Yeah, you know what it is. Welcome to the best coast. Yo, it's Bronze Age nerd with that collecting elite. Big B McFly, steady bringing the vintage heat. Pull up a seat, we diving in the stacks. Silver to the bronze, got the knowledge on tap. From Kirby's Kings to the mutants, wow. We breaking it down in that laid-back style. So grab your snacks, let the panels unfold. This is comic book chillin' with the stories we told. Comic book vibes, we flipping them pages. Legends and lore from all the ages. Golden to the modern, we talk that news. With Big B McFly and the nerd cut loose. Yo, you tune into that Bronze Age flow. Where comics live and legends grow. Big B McFly in the cut, let's fly. Best coast, baby, comics are what saved me. Big B, yeah. Baby, comics are what saved me.
Best Coast, baby. We are back. Full normal crew tonight. One of your hosts, Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and I am joined, as ever, by my co-host,
Big B McFly, the comic guy.
What is up, everybody? Glad to be back. Big B has been here pretty much all along. I've been gone for a little while, but I am back. Shout out to our guest co-host, Jay, our producer, Jay. Aka Hydra Asylum Comics, or part of Hydra Asylum Comics. Huge shout out to him for helping out last week. But we're back with our regular schedule. We have some fun stuff to talk about tonight. Our main topic, as you may have noticed from the thumbnail, is about like our ideal grading company and what that looks like and what we'd want it to be. Not really trying to compare and contrast CGC, CBCS, and PSA, that kind of stuff. I kind of made it look like that in the thumbnail. I couldn't really figure out how to do that any other way, so that's what it looks like. We'll talk about all those companies, but we wanted to kind of discuss the state of grading and what we think needs to happen in the grading space. We're also going to talk about some comic book news. We're going to talk about Heroes for Heroes. We're going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff. But first, I want to take just a second to shout out that we're streaming on a few different channels. You can watch on the Bronze Age Nerd YouTube channel. You can watch over on Big B McFly, the Comic Guys channel. And you can also check us out over on the EXP. That's a network of comic book related content. All three channels have their links in the description below. So go check out those channels, subscribe, and check out some excellent content. And next, let's say hello to our awesome chat community. Got GT Key Comic is in the house. Psycho Phil coming in with that silver medal. What's up, Psycho Phil? How you doing? And then we've got Richard Westfall, mod extraordinaire, Heroes for Heroes helper.
Maybe he was waiting for the bronze.
He was just waiting for the bronze. I agree. That's exactly what happened. You nailed it. We got Brandon in the chat. What's up, Brandon? How you doing? And we got Shigeyuki Kakita. Oh, nice. I always love seeing it here, man. That's very cool. And I'll say hello to other people that drop into chat as that happens. Let's see. First things first. I want to show off something because we have Heroes for Heroes coming up at the end of the month. Got a lot of work to do to start the campaign really going for that. It's been, unfortunately, my absence, a lot of other things going on in the back burner have kind of prevented me from really putting full effort into that. That needs to change. But things have started rolling in. I want to show off an awesome thing that came in from an amazing supporter out there, Ben Taz, artist that's been featured on the community art segment. We had him as part of the community art challenge that Big B and Travis and John's Comic with Kids helped run last year. He drew an awesome piece there that I actually have the original of. And because of that, he was inspired to add a contribution to this year. So we have some special limited edition prints. Now, unfortunately, I can't show all the prints because some of them are of a risque fashion. I'll get some post-it notes strategically placed on them so I can show them off, like on Instagram, that kind of stuff later on. But for the live stream, I just wanted to show the ones that are able to be showed off. So first off, he's obviously going for a Dave Stevens Planet Comics homage here. And he has Mission 22, which is the charity that we're raising money for at the top there.
That's so awesome.
And he did, you got the Heroes for Heroes logo there at the bottom as well. Very cool stuff. And so we actually were on an email chain with Dave Stevens' sister, who controls kind of the estate of Dave Stevens, and she approved all these images and everything as well, which is really cool. Oh yeah, okay. Here's the other one I can show. This is like very one-to-one kind of,
teeny
the
one.
yellow
There we
and
go.
blue. And then I'll kind of zoom in a
Love
little
it.
bit on the girls. And so we got all these different prints. These are really awesome.
Are they all signed? They look like
yes.
numbers.
Yeah, they're all signed. And I just unboxed them. Yeah, I think they're numbered. This is like one of 5 that I just showed.
Wow.
So very cool. Ben's a very talented artist who unfortunately isn't able to draw as much as he would like to. And so his art is special and precious to us. We have a few artists in the community like that anytime they draw, they usually deliver some amazing stuff. Ben's no exception. Go give Ben Taz a follow. I think is it Taz Ben? Is that what his Instagram is?
Mm-hmm.
TOZBEN. Search him up on Instagram. Go give him a follow. He's amazing. And I'll be showing those off more in detail, but I had to show it off. It's really cool.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
So we do have, hey, what's up? How's it going, Collector P? Good to see you. So we do have, Ben is amazing. We do have some other donations that have rolled in. And I'll get to showing those off here more as we go along the next couple weeks. Right now we're scheduled for June 28th. That may not be the only event. I might have to kind of set up some stuff in July too. If you're interested in donating items to get auctioned off, like comic books or signed memorabilia or original art or whatever you want to donate, if you're interested in doing that, 100% of everything that we generate from the funds from auctioning off your items go directly to Mission 22. We're an official Mission 22 charity partner, so you actually literally donate on their site. It's just a special web portal that we have for those donations. We would really appreciate that. If you want to get in touch with me about that, you can email me at thebronzeagenerd, all one word, @gmail.com, or you can hit me up anywhere I'm on social media. Just DM me and we can get that process started. There's still time. So all that said, what has been going on, Bigby? How's your life been going, man?
It's been good. It's been hot. Been doing some yard work.
In the heat?
Burn pile, baby.
Oh my gosh, dude. There's no way I could do that.
Yep.
Woo. I've been, for those that don't know, we live in the Pacific Northwest. We're on the Best Coast. Kind of on the west side of the Cascades, so it's kind of a temperate area. It gets not anywhere near. Look, people, when we say the temperatures, you'd probably, if you're in the South, if you're in Florida, Georgia, the Midwest, you'd probably laugh at us. But the places here are not built for this kind of heat. They don't usually have insulation and air conditioning they should have, because when these places were built 30, 40 years ago, it wasn't this hot and it wasn't this humid. But it, like, when it's like 90 here with like 80% humidity, it feels pretty terrible.
I mean, I've traveled a lot. I mean, it doesn't compare to like to Florida or Atlanta or Indianapolis, but it's humid.
But those places they're all made for it.
Right.
Places have, central air conditioning. We usually have like window air conditioners and stuff like that aren't as powerful and they aren't as efficient. They let out a lot of the cold air and let in a lot of the heat. Hey, what is up, Obito Comics and Cards? How you doing?
Obito, good to see you. Hey, shout out to Obito. He has been gone from the scene for a little bit. He's back making videos on YouTube, and glad to have him back.
Nice. Hey, awesome. I'm glad to check it out. I'm gonna go sub you up and check out your stuff. Hey, what's up, Derek? How you doing? I love the little emojis coming in. Love it. We got the two. You know what? It's gross. And yeah, I've been to Vegas when I've been in like Barstow, California, when it was like 118 degrees. And I would rather be in 118 degrees in the dry desert than I would be in like the 100-degree, 80% humidity here. Honestly, I do much better in that heat. Hey, what's up, Comic Tropes? How's it going? Hey, Comic Tropes. I'm going to show off something a little bit later. I didn't watch his episode of his latest show, Comic Tropes After Dark, today. But I have something related to a couple guests he had on. I highly recommend that after our show, go check out his stream. He had Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti on for an interview. I'm assuming probably for their Harley Quinn, Elvira comic that they have coming out from Dynamite to discuss that. Those are two of my favorite people in comic books, and I have something that's related to them in a very personal way that I'm going to be showing off here in a little bit. So, but go check out Chris's show, Comic Tropes After Dark, on his second channel. Christopher Tropes the 14th. That's right. Yeah, and Bigby's got his display going behind him in full force back there. You got
Right.
shelves.
I was waiting for somebody to say something.
Well, there you go. There you go. Psycho Phil coming in, just happy about the decorations.
There's Big Mac back there. I don't know if you can see him.
I definitely can't. More like Little Mac. We got some Nintendos.
Yeah, we were talking about him the other day. So
yeah, Mark McGuire.
Yeah, 70th home run, Sports Illustrated issue back there.
We've both been. Oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't tell. We've both kind of been into sports cards recently. I guess this is kind of the part of the show where we talk about what we've been doing for a while.
Yeah,
I guess for me it'll be for a while.
Garage sale, and then we were talking about our collections. It's funny because we really haven't talked about like that aspect of collecting too much, and it's like we mirror each other so much on like what our favorite years are and players. And all that. I'm like, wow, really? I'm like 87 is like a big year for me, and you're like same. I'm like that's like that was the year that I really got into it.
And it's kind of and I'm not saying this for any kind of comedic purposes, but there's a small, it's not a huge age difference, but there's a large enough age difference between us that you would think that we'd almost be a few years apart on like what players we were into, or
right.
And for comics too, we both kind of gravitate towards the same period, which is kind of funny. Did you hear about the Frank Miller original art cards? It'll be in the 2025 Marvel Chrome cards. Now I did hear about that.
Yeah.
I did hear about that. There's that should be really interesting, considering how what's weird about that. So I've been looking at a lot of comic cards and a lot like there was the X-Men 97 cards that came out this year. I just ordered like a Cyclops refractor card from that series. It's a couple dollars. I was like, I may as well get the card I want from that series. I also want to get a Rogue and a Wolverine. But what's interesting is those cards, they have sketch cards in these packs.
Right.
Really common. Just like you have like autos or jersey patch cards, that kind of stuff in sports cards, right? They have one-of-one sketch cards. And some of these sketch cards, and I'm going to just be blunt about it, looking at the prices, not just the asking prices, but also some of the sold prices, some of these sketches are really not of the caliber I would associate with like the prices they're going for. That's what I'll say. I guess that's a nice way of saying I think that the price far outweighs the quality of the cards of the sketch.
Well, you kind of got to look at what they pay the artists too. Like,
of course, but then again, they're just putting the person who rips the pack, rips the wax. They don't care what the artist got paid, right? So
no, I was saying for the quality of the art though, depending on like how much are you getting paid, how much time are you and effort are you put into it, right?
100%. And it's not like most of the artists are not artists I'm familiar with. That's the other thing.
Like that's a big thing I've noticed. Like that for a while I was working at a card and comic store besides my own, and we did a lot of rips of like the big high end stuff, and I was like, yeah, these are really big, like the fold out cards and stuff. These are really big, expensive cards, and they weren't named artists. I was like not impressed. I was like, if I'm going to be paying that kind of money, if I'm paying like close to $100 a pack for something,
yeah,
I want artists that I recognize.
Hey, what's up? You're Next. How's it going? You're Next is a huge supporter of Heroes for Heroes. We were just talking about Heroes for Heroes and showing off the awesome Ben Taz prints we got in signed and numbered. Planet
very
Comics.
Limited, going to be very cool.
Very limited. Planet Comics homage approved by the Dave Stevens estate, which I think isn't totally unnecessary. I think he's covered under fair use there, but it's just cool that he went that extra mile. So Your Next is a huge supporter of Heroes for Heroes. We do appreciate that. We do have Heroes for Heroes coming up at the end of the month. Yeah, you know what? I love buying packs of like comic cards. Like I have some behind me. I have some of the Avengers metal cards that came out last year. And I bought like a blaster box, and I got a Miles Morales like numbered card. I was like, all right, kind of cool, but it wasn't amazing. It wasn't, it's maybe like a $20 card. And I'm sure some people do worse than that, but it's you're paying like 25, $30 for a card. You're kind of hoping for something kind of neat, right? For a pack, I mean. Hey, what's up, Roscoe? How's it going, man?
Hey, speaking of shout out, I want to shout out Roscoe getting back into the game doing smart work.
Yeah,
it's been out for a little while. I'm happy to see you producing again, buddy, and that you're feeling good enough to do smart. So,
yeah, and we will have a little example of Roscoe's art later in the show during our community art segment. So definitely stay tuned for that. How much of a super chat does it take to have you each run around in the background so we can see run around?
There's not a lot of depth here in this room. I would be like taking a couple steps for you. I don't know if it'd be worth it for you, Tropes.
I mean, here you go. That's about as much depth as I got. There's a couple feet behind me.
There's about a foot and a half behind me.
I wish it showed up better. I wish it showed up better. I really wish I had is if I had a room with 4 walls basically and a door where I could take one wall and make it like a real background. I don't have that.
How much of a super chat it took? $0. Money well spent.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to make somebody waste money on that. If people want a super chat, that is up to them.
It was funny.
But I really wish I had like a proper, and I say proper in air quotes, sneer quotes, studio space. That'd be great. I am in a dining room that is not being used as a dining room, that is completely open on every side. It's why I can't really film and record and go live whenever I want, because I'm usually sharing the space with my family.
I'm in a dining room also that's not being used as a dining room, which is an office now. But
yeah,
I am playing with the idea of moving everything to the comic room so that everything will be accessible because that's part of the problem I have is everything gets hauled here and then has to get hauled back there, and it's like a mess.
Yeah.
It's like,
but I can imagine. Hey, what's up, John? How you doing? So let's see. We're talking about cards. So we were talking about cards a little bit. You said you were getting into cards, like sports cards.
I've been like seeing them at like garage sales and stuff, and so I'm kind of getting more. You and I chat a little bit about what I found at that one sale, and yeah, I've seen some stuff. Oh,
I agree.
Thank you, Chris. We try. Your setup is awesome too, by the way.
Yeah, he's got a great setup.
So just kind of going through a lot of the stuff. I know you showed me some of the highlights from your collection, so I need to send some pics to you of some of my stuff.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting back into it. It's just interesting, the different facets of people's collecting habits. We only talk about comics, but yeah, people collect other things or into other things. So,
and let us know either whether you're watching on the rewind. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Would you be curious to have us talk about other things, other hobbies, other things that we collect, other stuff like that? I mean, that'd be kind of a fun topic.
Yeah.
So usually during this segment, we talk about things we've picked up, things we've been watching. That's been a while for me, so I have a wide range of things to talk about. I'm not sure if you did that with Jay or not last week.
We showed a lot of books. I've picked up one thing since last week.
Okay,
so show that real quick. I won this as a giveaway on like a Whatnot show, so it's just kind of a cool variant cover. Lucas
right on.
Variant cover. It was just a giveaway that I won, so very cool.
Is that Wernick?
Yeah, Lucas Wernick.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's right on. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, just kind of a cool little givey.
Yeah.
I haven't picked up anything else. I have, but I didn't go down and visit Trav for his. I pick up stuff from Trav almost every week on his Whatnot show.
How much of a super chat to have you run a full marathon? Right. I'm gonna go with. I mean, if I don't have to finish, if I was being real and I went as far as I could possibly go, $100,000.
You got to pay the medical bills, right?
Exactly. And I would donate half of that to Heroes for Heroes Mission 22. But the other half would be for my hospital bills. I never have been a good runner. Hated it whenever I had to do it for football or whatever. And it has only gotten worse over time as I have gotten more out of shape.
Right. I used to run back when I was in high school, but not anymore. I don't know if I really could do too much running.
Yeah. Just throwing this out there, by the way, I mentioned Heroes for Heroes earlier, and I've kind of brought it up a couple times. Here's the link to this year's campaign. We're currently at $2,000 donated, thanks to Big B's and his company's donation. Out of a $5,000 goal, we have a much more modest goal this year, but I wanted to make sure I posted that.
Blow the lid off that, though, right? That's what we're gonna do.
That's right. That's right. Once I heard of Whatnot, do either of you sell there? So I have an account. I have told myself many times I'll go on there and start selling.
It was a somewhat goal for you this year, right? To do a little more selling.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I probably fell short on that as well as many other goals I had.
But the year's not over yet. I will help you encourage, as well as I'm sure our esteemed viewers can kind of encourage us.
Yeah, and I will go back on there and sell and just try to move out some stuff because I got to make some room. That's the biggest thing for me.
I usually sell with my buddy Trav, Comics Limited, on his channel. Although I've been doing a lot of hanging out on his shows and buying, and actually, I'm sure it was an automated thing that they go, oh, hey, they put 2 and 2 together and looked at my email address and figured out that I was YouTube person, and they went, we'd like you to sell. And actually, I put the code in my below because they offered anybody that signs up under me between $10 and $200. It's a randomized amount of credit that they get if they sign up. So
okay. Yeah, it used to be like for every person you got to come do that, it would be like a $10 referral for the seller and the buyer, like the viewer or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they're doing some randomizer thing now where it's like
right on.
More between 10. And I guess Lunch Money Mike did it too. And whoever, when they sign up, they give you whatever the person won. And Mike's like, okay, yeah, we'll see how this plays out. And like 2 weeks later, he got a $200 credit. And he was
nice.
Like, yeah. So somebody got $200.
Well, no, it can be fun. I don't enjoy the professional Whatnot sellers very much.
I don't either. I really enjoy watching the people who are the down to earth, like mom and pop kind of people just selling their books. That's really fun to watch, but I don't like the people who do it as a,
I have an exception to that, I guess. Cause I don't know about professional. I think Kamikaze does it like pretty full time.
Yeah.
And his show's not bad.
Like to me, he's not like one of those, the ones that I'm talking about where it's like, it's a channel that is like, not just one person. They're 24/7. They have people that come in on shift. Shift change, and they're showing, and it's the same like 20 variants for the week, and then it's the next week it's the variants of the week, and it's the
but I'm just thinking like there's even individuals that do it that they annoy the crap out of me, but he does that, and he's definitely not annoying. And there's probably some others.
Shout out to Kamikaze and to Trav, both great Whatnotters that we have on our show. And if anybody else on the chat that if you're doing Whatnot, let us know.
And I wouldn't consider Travis in that category of like he does it regularly, but it's not like
he does it regularly, but he does it, a few $100s each week. He's a small-time guy selling books that he finds here and there, and he's not to the level of those guys. So for sure.
Are you going to SummerCon?
I was going to chat with you about that. We're going to work the details out on that, Chris. I know I promised I would bring you a Dallas Cowboys Spider-Man book if I see you when I see you next. So I'll try to do that.
There you go. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'll just be real about this for a second. Last year I did hosting of some panels. Right. I will say that it doesn't look like that's happening for various reasons this year. And so it changed my perception of like, oh, well, I'm going all 3 days working it to now I need to kind of figure out which day I'm going.
Right. I kind of assumed that we were going to be doing the same thing we did last year. So I actually took Friday off from work so that we could go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And now it's like, I don't even know if I'm going that many days.
It's really like Friday is a tempting day to go, except for I think they open later.
Right.
And I love going to I love going to Rose City Comic Con, for example. I love going on Friday because I feel like there's no lines. You can just walk up to anybody. But the problem is not everybody's there, and Saturday is insane, and
Right.
But
it was it was cool to do it though with you last year because of the the being able to interview people and talk to everyone. And talk to them about Heroes for Heroes and get involved that way, which I think that'll be cool this year to be able to do that as well. But you know, we got to talk to Frank Cho up close and personal. And,
yeah, really, really up close and really personal.
Yeah, loves his Bigfoot, that's for sure.
Yeah. You know, it nice. Another couple sellers there. It opened up a relationship with like Mark Bagley, so I was able to get him to donate to Heroes for Heroes, and you know, it can be a really amazing experience. So I want to go. I love SummerCon. It's just a question of what day to go. If I didn't go Friday, my second choice would probably be Sunday. Most people I probably want to see are going to be there on Saturday, like Chris, you know, so it gets a little confusing as far as scheduling. But I like going when when it's a little calmer. And if I'm going to be spending money at vendors, I want them to be a little like on Friday. Some of them are looking to make some quick sales, not as many, but it does happen. You also could take more time and things aren't as picked over. On Sunday, it's like, hey, this isn't always true. I feel like people overstate this, but some vendors are willing to like kind of, you know,
I used to do shows back in the day, and I know Sunday was my day to dump inventory because I didn't want to leave with as much stuff as I brought. So
it just depends though, because it feels like some vendors are like, well, I'm going to be in so and so next week, so what do I care?
Right, it depends on what vendor it is. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
The locals and the shops and the people who are just doing it just because they're more likely to get rid of their stuff. It feels like
right. It seems like this year too, like SummerCon is overlapping with a lot of other conventions for the weekend because like Heroes Con is that weekend. There's a couple other ones that are exact same weekend. So
yeah, this is a good point. Last year, the comics thing, they moved it around physically, and I didn't think it was as good in some ways. It had pros and cons, but
it was kind of weird because we had the one hall that was like mainly comics, right? But then there was comics scattered throughout the other hall as well. So
yeah, and those comic people, they were mad that they weren't in the other hall for the most part, but then I think they did better.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not true. I know one guy. I won't name who it was, but he was like pretty upset. He's like, everybody's over there for comics, and no one's coming over here for comics.
Right. No, we ran into on the way out. I remember that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that person too. I'm thinking of a different.
Okay.
Like a comic shop, basically.
Right. This was
the
one I'm thinking it was somebody who did like variants and art and stuff. But yeah, there was. But I mean, they had all of the other comic celebrities over in the hall with the art, with the books too, mainly. So it was my first experience with it. I thought it was okay. It was much better comic representation than Rose City.
Yes. Yes, I agree with that. And I just wanted to shout out John. Hope your health issue is going okay. You can always reach out if you need to, DM or whatever. Hopefully I get a chance to see you. But yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, that policy of the body full cavity searches is it's actually refreshing. I find.
Mr. Nope.
Oh yeah. So Mr. Nope is bringing up something that we definitely should talk about. Which is talking about? It's talking about this this new bath soap trend. There's this new bath soap trend with Sydney Sweeney. And since we're talking about Sydney Sweeney,
their own show.
Yeah, and bath soap now apparently. So what did you think about that for real?
It's kind of creepy. I don't know.
Right? It is kind of creepy. Like on one hand, I feel like her PR game is on point.
Oh yeah, like, I mean she's gonna make some bucks off of it. I'm just like
the Dr. Squatch thing has been really successful for her. Yes, this is a real thing. This is a real thing. So to back it up, a few years ago, if you're not familiar, there was a Twitch streamer.
Richard's out.
He got what
I came for.
There might be. You never know. There might be more, Richard.
That's right. There might be.
there was a Twitch streamer who I think later became like an OnlyFans model, basically.
Right.
Who was selling her bathwater in like little vials.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I saw a documentary about her.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's a couple. There's a couple. Amaranth, I think she did it. The other one I think is Delphine, something like that.
I think Belle Delphine was the one I saw the video.
I think she was the first to do it.
Yeah.
I know at least one person reportedly, and this could be like an urban legend for all I know, because who could say that they actually did it this way? One person reportedly drank the bathwater and got sick. Like, you know what, Pokemon could have done it too. Bought the whole damn tub.
Mhm.
So anyways, this reminds me of this big time, as I mean, it's different in a way.
I didn't get sick.
You got something else, but it wasn't sick.
Oh, Jay.
I think there was a jarred fart sale thing too.
Sold
Yep.
jarred farts. There we go.
Yep. So welcome to OnlyFans
somebody
talk.
was like, "Oh, I saw somebody saying like, oh, the people are buying this because they want to be close to their favorite celebrity or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, no, you know, some desperate fanboy is buying it because he wants to rub Sydney Sweeney all over himself. You know, that's basically what he's doing."
What I want to know is how long until like Nick Offerman is selling bars of soap with like his little beard hairs on it and stuff. So you can be close to him, right? Like
Richard just says dot. Did I read your mind, Richard?
Well, first of all, I recommend some hair dye.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll try that. Like try it as in which part?
Making your own soap or buying the soap? I don't know. Or rubbing the Sydney Sweeney soap? I don't know. Whatever. But,
shout out, gosh, who was it in somebody in my Discord? I posted something about that, and God, they put in something hilarious. And I'm going to turn it into a meme at some point. I want to give them credit. Excuse my scrolling here. It wasn't that long ago. Was it that long ago? I feel like it wasn't that long ago.
Couldn't have been that long ago. The story just came out like maybe a week ago. Week and a half.
Why is it not showing up for me? Oh, because I'm not in my journal tab here. So I posted about that, and their response was, I'm not gonna find it, so I'm sorry. I'll shout you out and give you credit when I post this meme. But their response was Ralphie from A Christmas Story with the bar of soap in his mouth.
Right, yeah.
I'm totally gonna meme that.
Right.
It's all marketing, Jay.
It is.
Dude, no. Tell me Sydney Sweeney wouldn't be part of like some meme coin like effery and not actually have her real bathwater be included in the soap.
Well, that would be some scandalous stuff going on there.
I just thought about it. Could you imagine if they prove that that's the case? How the hell would they do that? That's why it's such a good
looking
scam.
for Sydney's DNA in the soap somewhere.
I kind of have bought a movie themed popcorn bucket. Yeah, they've gotten stupid expensive. I bought the Dune popcorn bucket, but it's like a real popcorn tub, and it was Dune 2. It has the Dune stuff all around it. And I got the big cup too. Not the stupid one that looked like a fleshlight, but like it's like a
sandworm one.
Yeah, it was like a normal cup. I got both of those because we can still use them, and we do. Like I make my own popcorn at home.
The high-end Wolverine Deadpool one was pretty cool, where it had the figurines on either end. It was metal.
Yeah, but those are usually, they're not the novelty Wolverine one where it looked like a fleshlight was kind of dumb. I thought.
Right.
There's like, God, what has there been? Was there Red Hulk's head or something that you could eat popcorn out of? I showed some jokes or some renders of like some Fantastic Four ones a few weeks ago that were going around. I don't know if they're real or not. But then there's this Galactus one. The Galactus one, it's fine.
It's expensive.
I don't think it's worth $80. I don't know. Have you ever bought a novelty popcorn bucket?
Oh no, I never have. I've been tempted, but no. I always take pictures of them when I'm there at the theater, though. Post them on Instagram. Like, hey, these are cool. But
I'll say this, man. The batches I make, and again, I used to work at Regal, so I know how to make popcorn. I do it at home. I use like a coconut oil. I have like flavor call, all that kind of stuff, all the right salts, all that stuff. So I make a giant batch, and we're talking like it's probably like if you go to the real movies and get like a tub of popcorn, it's probably like 1.5 times as much as that.
Right.
And it goes fast around here because my family eats it up.
Mhm.
There's only 3 of us.
I feel like if I saw one of those like after the fact, like at like Goodwill or something, I'd probably pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a nice little book. Exactly. I like the way you're thinking.
That's exactly my thought process. I'm always comparing like, what's the cost of that versus what kind of comic book could I buy with that?
So we used to, Mr. Nope, what we used to do back in my Regal days, we used to do screenings because we used to build the prints. I was a projectionist. I did the splicing and all that kind of stuff. You built the prints and you had to do a technical preview. Well, we were all like 21-ish, varying ages, but we were at an age where we're like, hey, we're not supposed to invite our friends over, but we totally did. And we watched the movies together. And we would take the leftover popcorn at the end of the night, and we'd have like these food safe garbage bags. They're like whitish clear garbage bags. And we'd dump all the food into that, all the popcorn into that. And we'd come home with like, 10-gallon trash bags of popcorn.
Oh, wow.
If people want it. Like if you work there enough, you're sick of it. Usually, like it took me a long time to eat popcorn again.
Right.
But it's fun. It's fun. Speaking of watching things in theaters, any viewing news that you gotta?
Let's see. I watched Killer of Killers, the new Predator movie.
Was it good?
That was pretty good. I enjoyed that a lot.
Nice.
Actually ties into other Predator stuff. I'm not going to say what, but if you watch it, pretty good. And I watched Sinners with Michael B. Jordan.
Nice.
That was good. I finished Andor. I don't know. It was kind of it was a struggle for me to finish that. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through season 2, and I'm just like I'm not enjoying it as much as everyone else seemed to be. It seems like.
Yeah. And I guess Last of Us is done, but I'm like waiting for that one, the end of it. So and then
Last of Us, man, when it ends, it's 7 episodes, and I thought for sure there was going to be one more episode at least.
Oh, maybe that is the ending of it then.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous at the end of it. I love Last of Us.
Does it end super abruptly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Okay. So are they going to do a season 3?
Yeah, they are gonna do a season 3, from what I understand.
Okay.
Okay, so got some love for Killer of Killers there. Real fast, I'll go through and answer that question. The people was the worst part about it. The people, well, it was low paying, and you were forced to be a night owl. Like that was, so I'm a night owl to this day because of that job. Regularly on a Thursday, I'd get out at like 4 a.m. or something like that, and it's like, well, sweet. Now I'm gonna go sleep all day.
Right.
Okay, so Killer of Killers, Sinners, and/or season 2.
So maybe I did finish Last of Us and I didn't realize it. I thought there maybe was one more episode, but so there's that. And then Mobland, I've been watching that too. That's been really good.
Okay. Yeah, I finished. So out of those, I'm Killer of Killers and actually Sinners and Killer of Killers are like at top of my queue. And then I finished Mobland. Loved it. It was really cool.
Is that over with now too?
Well, season 1's over.
Okay. So then I'm done with it too because I've been watching.
I don't know if they've announced the season 2 yet for that. I don't know if it's been confirmed.
It's got to have a season 2.
It should. It should. I could see them also doing like a movie, because it's
Right.
Paramount, right?
Right.
And then I rewatched The Sopranos, and I finished rewatching that.
Wow,
today,
that's
actually.
no small feat.
I won't watch Ironheart season 1, I don't think. And I say that with.
I'm going to give it a fair shake. I mean, I'll watch the first couple episodes and see how it goes.
I don't know. If I hear people saying that's amazing, I'll tune in. I think I'm at the point where I need to make the final decision to not watch every Marvel show, every Star Wars show. Like, I think I can skip some of them. What else did I watch? I didn't really. Yeah, right. Season 2 of Secret Invasion. Surely that's coming. I'm trying to think of what else. I don't think because I have not been watching much, really. Yeah, I think that's it. So I really, really, really want to watch Sinners. That's the next thing I want to dive into.
We got to talk about that after you watch it, because I don't think it was marketed. I didn't know what it was really going to be about when I watched it.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
was like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, besides being a vampire movie,
Yeah, I didn't know it was a vampire movie.
oh, they say it in the trailer.
Kind
I mean, they show it in the trailer. Like, well, it's pretty obvious what it is in the trailer to me, but I don't know. I still really want to watch it.
It was interesting. I liked it.
I worry that I have that thing now where it's like it's been so hyped. I worry that I'm gonna go in with high expectations when I should have medium expectations.
I've heard, I'd heard a few good things, but I just went in with we'll wait and see, and I enjoyed it. It was good.
So for pickups, I will show one thing. Well, two things, I guess. I'll just show one thing. Just show this. So I got something in the mail today, a little something. And this is what relates to Mr. Tropes. I got a first print copy of the Pro, signed by Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor.
Nice.
Really
Very cool.
crispy copy there.
Very cool.
Been looking to actually have one for a while. So as I mentioned earlier, he had them on his show earlier. Again, I'm pretty sure they were promoting Elvira and Harley Quinn. I'm excited to go check out that interview later because they're two of my favorite people in comic books. So go check that out if you want to see some more of them. But they're awesome. Just say Haley Stanfield.
Say some of them things.
I've heard about that scene because she's dating Aaron Rodgers, right? Is that right? There was some like controversy about like how he didn't want to go watch the movie or something because of that scene.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Hey, what's up, Kamikaze? We were just talking about you earlier.
We did. We gave you props, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, John, thank you, John. I knew it was an NFL quarterback. Thanks, Richard. We got our real-time fact checking in effect. But yeah, I unfortunately I took all my football cards. I probably would show off some of the things I've got. I've been trying to get Bo Nix cards because I'm a Broncos fan. I've been trying to get some Bo Nix sweet cards, and I got a couple cool ones. I got a 101 autograph that I got from somebody on Reddit. And they were on to promote Secret Invasion season 2. I added a season 2. But yeah, I'd probably show those off next time. Again, maybe if people are interested in us doing like a what else we did collect hobby.
I know
kind
you were
of
looking
thing.
for Bo Nix. There was Bo Nix at that garage sale that I went to.
Oh, really?
They were all base stuff,
Sweet. Well, yeah. I mean,
but it was rookie cards.
if I have, a couple of the main sets, but if there's a couple of different ones, like, for the right price, I just collect Broncos cards. I don't collect like star players
cards for $10, but I didn't buy it.
Cool. Real fast, another shout out for Comic Tropes here. This is how I'll choose to share this. There's probably other places that showed this, but I like that he tweeted this out earlier. The Mike Mignola documentary is now free on YouTube. If you want to get a nice, easy, convenient link to that, you can go check out at @CTropes on X / what was formerly known as Twitter.
That's a great documentary. I think I watched it on Amazon Prime originally, but
nice. I need to see that. There's like 4 or 5 creator documentaries I need to go watch. And that's definitely one of the ones I'm more excited about.
I gotcha.
So I'm gonna.
Hey, Nate Hall, yeah.
Hey, what's up, Nate? How's it going?
Good to see you, brother.
Can't wait. Can't watch a movie because an actor was quoting lines. What's he going to think about kissing and more scenes? What I think, if we're talking about the Haley Steinfeld thing, yeah. There's some. I haven't seen it, but
see that if your significant other was in like a romantic scene with somebody, you wouldn't want to watch them kissing somebody, or
yeah. Yes, that documentary thankfully was squashed, which I think is probably for the best. So I think we should just burn through the news before we get to our topic. Do you think we should cover our main topic or cover the news first? Should we let the chat decide?
You let the chat decide. I think, yeah, sure.
Chat, if you want us to cover the Perfect Grading Company to us topic first, hit 1 in chat. If you want us to talk about the news first, hit 2 in chat. We're still experimenting with what people like first, so let us know. I'd appreciate it. I know that my buddy Big B would as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only here for popcorn buckets. Glad to hear the stand dock was burned. Yeah, exactly, Corban. Sydney Sweeney news.
Mm-hmm.
I like how you guys are not following. Maybe you typed that in before I said that.
There it is. It is. They're coming through now.
Oh,
okay, Trope put money where his mouth is. He wants the news.
Okay. We're getting a lot of news. News is winning, don't you think?
News is where it's at.
All right.
They've been jonesing for the news. They haven't heard it from you for a little bit. So
that's true. We do have some news that's built up here. So before I get into the news, it's very important that we play that because we got to get into our suits.
People wouldn't know what's going on if you didn't play that.
Yeah, nobody would have any idea. So some news that caught my eye was there's a new Invincible fighting game coming out. So Xbox had a showcase where there's a bunch of cool stuff that was revealed. I'm not going to get too far into a lot of things because it's not really
the gameplay trailer is amazing.
Yeah, there's a gameplay trailer. I don't want to play it for copyright reasons, but
yeah, if you guys get a chance to check it out, it's pretty cool.
You got Mark, aka Mr. Invincible himself. I think you should just change his name to Mr. Invincible. Omni-Man, Thula, Adam Eve, and Bulletproof. Looks, I think it's really cool that Skybound is continuing to be a multimedia. But like they're constantly there was the Adam Eve game that came out a couple of years ago. You could tell the Walking Dead stuff has continued to be a focus for them.
Right.
They can. I like that they're doing that. I hope that we see some of that. I don't know how it works with Hasbro, but I'd love to see some of that with like the Energon universe.
I saw Rexplode in some of the gameplay footage. So
yeah, it just says including. So this isn't a full list.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I won't even if it says a release date in here. I'm not even going to bother because video games are weird. As somebody who used to work in the video game industry. So, but yeah, it's coming soon. I believe it's coming to Xbox Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. I'll just throw this out there. Xbox unveiled some new handheld hardware that some people are excited about.
Tropes is crossing Sopranos with Tony Hawk.
That'd be fun.
What's the Tony Soprano skateboarding game?
AJ Soprano like skateboarding around or something like that. That'd be pretty good. But yeah, I think this looks like a lot of fun. I'm always in favor of comic book games, especially when they're done right, and they do a pretty good job. Actually, one of my buddies I worked on Halo with, he was kind of a mentor of mine, briefly worked at Skybound, doing some stuff too. So shout out to them for all the hard work they do. So next, I think this is cool. Maybe this is like buy crypto. Maybe this is slightly, selfish or whatever. I love Age of Apocalypse. I love Joe Madureira art in the
Joe Mad's
X-Men.
awesome.
Yeah. specifically in the X-Men. I love his art. Ever since that Pizza Hut promo that was in all the comic books that he drew, which is the first time I remember seeing his art. But Jeff Loeb, Simone DeMeo, and covers from Joe Madureira, including this bitchin' Wolverine
so awesome
one, which is so large I can't show it in one shot. But mad, there we go.
Mad Dog.
I'm excited. I cannot wait.
Yeah, good stuff.
I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I posted this. It mirrors the first Age of Apocalypse saga. It's going to kick off, X-Men of Apocalypse Alpha 1. That's a confusing title, considering there was X-Men Alpha 1 originally. It's going to go through X-Men of Apocalypse 1 through 4, starting in November, and conclude in X-Men of Apocalypse Omega.
So they're taking the word age of out of there? So
I guess. X-Men of Apocalypse. Maybe it's just to keep the titles distinct. I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm excited. I'm so excited. He's going to have a variant cover for X-Men Age of Apocalypse Alpha number 1, and the rest will be revealed in the months ahead. I'm sold. I'm sold.
Yep.
So I don't really have much to say about it.
He's been gone from comics for a while. So
well, he came back and did a cover for Battle Chasers.
Right.
But yeah, I mean he's been doing, like, as far as I know,
video game stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
I should have put this next to the Invincible story. But there's a Deadpool game coming. If you remember, there was another Deadpool game that's highly sought after because it was pulled from the PlayStation store. It was a PlayStation exclusive. I actually have a disc of it, which I guess is somewhat valuable. I don't have the box because I bought it from Redbox. I just got the disc. Like, I actually did the thing where they're like closing out their games and you could buy them. And I was like, oh, I want to play that game. It's fun. And it was over the top and it was great. But people have been wanting another Deadpool game for a long time. Well, you're getting one. But I hope you're into VR, and I hope you have a Meta 3 from those people over at the Metaverse and Facebook and all that, because that's the only place you can play it. Which is kind of dumb, in my opinion. But hey.
What did you think of the gameplay footage?
I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched it yet.
I wasn't that impressed really with the gameplay footage, but
I was, this is one of those things where I was basically like, whatever, you know. I think did I see Neil Patrick Harris is voicing him in this?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. That was they did the bait and switch thing where they're like, someone new has been cast to play Deadpool, you know, as the headline. Well, it's to voice Deadpool, right? So
I mean, whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's all fine. We're all fine here.
How are you?
Small reactor leak.
I don't know. I don't have much else to say about it. I'll never play it, so it doesn't really matter, I guess, to me, unless they adapt it in some form to some other console, which they won't because the VR games don't really adapt that well. So this is something that's hot off the presses, and I'll be honest, straight up, I had set this aside. I was like, oh, I should read through this, and I didn't. All I know is there's a big shakeup going on at Warner Brothers Discovery because they're splitting their streaming services and their broadcast networks, and it's having larger ramifications for DC Studios, which includes DC Comics. They're now going to be under the Streaming and Studios Company, which is going to be led by David Zaslav. They promised a 10-year plan for DC with new strategies for Superman and Supergirl. I mean, those are the first two movies coming out. Wait, is Supergirl the second movie?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, it's got to be, right?
Yeah.
At least I think that's right.
I
imagine that's why they worded it that way. There's also the Lanterns TV show coming, and
I was going to say, we got Lanterns, but those are TV shows for HBO.
Yep, DC Studios now oversees that's the gist of it here. I mean, like a lot of it, this is basically a press release that's been distilled down by Bleeding Cool here, which at the time that I pulled this article, I couldn't find any other sites reporting on it. I didn't see anything else in here. It's a lot of like corporate. The separation will invigorate each company by enabling them to leverage their strengths and specific financial profiles. Okay, sure.
Mhm.
I think the more interesting thing to me about this was I read this morning about them splitting the networks away from the streaming services, and it's like, okay, so Warner Brothers owns HBO and Max, right?
Yeah.
So HBO Max used to be HBO Go, and then it became HBO Max, and then it became, was it HBO Now for a while or whatever? And now they're changing, and then it was Max, and now they're changing back to HBO Go. I can't even, dude, they've changed their name like 4 times. And that happened, and now this is happening where they're splitting the studios and they're kind of splitting out, almost like splitting out the Discovery side again, which was a big merger a few years ago that happened. It's so friggin' like, okay, so we're basically back where we started. It's just silly.
There was like I saw a little short on Instagram where somebody was like, went to watch HBO and had to hit the pause button, and he's like, at some point they had to recreate their logo, and it was like all off. The letters are not equal.
I mean, there's not much to this really, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it. However, this is a great segue. It's not really a news story that I pulled, but I did see reports that early forecasts for Superman are extremely positive, apparently. But are tickets even on sale yet? Because he's buying our early screening tickets tomorrow.
So since this will be easier for me to do this way instead of typing it all in,
yeah.
Amazon Prime members through Fandango tomorrow can buy tickets to see the movie on July 8th.
For special screenings, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
It's a little like I'm not. This has nothing to do with Superman. Has nothing to do with anything other than like I hate the 24-hour news cycle and the way that they have to talk about forecasts for movies and how they're projected to do before tickets are even like fully for sale. And it's like, what you're like test screenings say this, like it's just all a bunch of BS. It seems like,
right.
Well, they need headlines.
I know that the Fantastic Four had really good pre-sales too. So
yeah. I don't know. To me, there's 3 amazing blockbusters coming out in July. You got Superman, you got Jurassic World Rebirth. I don't even remember the title. Right. And you got Fantastic Four. And I'm excited for all 3 of them. Right. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I remember that. I actually had an in at a movie theater. I waited in line for like 8 hours to watch it at a midnight showing in my little hometown at the one screen theater it was playing at. And it was an epic experience that I wish fully had lived up to the hype, but it was still epic. I got to be in the projection booth before the movie, and I got to see like a couple of the frames of the film and everything. It was pretty fun.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a good time. This next news story, man. Is Marvel trolling? Is that what they're doing?
Right.
Give me 1 second here, Big B. I got a thing going on in real life. Can you kind of talk people through this one a little bit for a second?
Yeah, for sure. I don't have control of the thing, but sure. Yeah, so we saw this news pop up. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have a illegitimate son of Black Panther who's a white character. We had the photo with Black Panther with Ryan Gosling's face edited on, people thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know if there people are really trolling. Jay, you got any thoughts on this? You want to pop in and chat with me? Heavy sigh.
You know, what Tropes is saying right here, I definitely agree with that. I agree with that. But people are kind of maybe taking it a little too far, saying that Ryan Gosling is going to be the next Black Panther.
Right.
I don't know. I don't see Disney going through with that. But Richard brings up another very good point.
Yes, that was what your heavy sigh was about. Yeah, are they? But yeah, the question is Marvel trolling us? That's a good question. It's just a meme, okay? And Tropes is saying it's just a meme.
Sorry, folks, I'm back. Excuse me. I may have to do that again. Just personal stuff going on here.
No problem, brother.
Yeah, so I overheard a little bit of what you guys were saying. I think that there's a lot. Man, there's so much here to unpack.
Did you see what Richard said? I'm white. I'm staying out of this.
Yeah. A lot of it to me is I think people are latching onto this story. I think Chris has a really good point here. Priest knows what he's doing. It's to get folks talking.
Right.
And it's because there's so much stuff that happens whenever there's a traditionally it's called a race swap for like casting for a movie or casting for a character.
Right.
That's always a point of contention, and it almost always seems to go in modern times, has not always been the case, that it is from a Anglo-Saxon character to a minority character.
Right.
That's generally how it goes. Or if it's from a male character, it's to a female character, or something along those lines.
Right.
But so I think there's kind of a subversion of expectations here. But there's also kind of like every time I've ever seen this argument come up, you always see the counter argument. Well, what if it went the other way? Well, now it's going to happen.
Right.
So, and there's also stuff with the, Chadwick Boseman passing away and the potential future for the MCU. People wonder, and there was the whole Toussaint thing. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that.
Toussaint.
Yeah. Well, because it was Toussaint in the comics, and there was the character they introduced at the end that was Toussaint in the movie, right?
Right.
And everybody's like, "Oh, Toussaint," and everybody's like, "No." It's just, look, I don't know. I'm staying out of it. I'm kind of like, because there's no, until it comes out.
Right.
That's how I feel about everything.
Right.
I want to read it.
Let's give it a fair shake, right? Like we're saying.
Is it a good story? Yeah, I do think it's interesting that Christopher Priest. There's one element of this that I think is interesting, which is that Priest pitched this years ago, way before the memes about White Panther were circulating, and they came back together to bring the story to life under the decade-defining Marvel Knights logo, which started way back in the 90s. That's interesting to me too.
Right.
I offer other legal advice. Just to have a big hook in the story. Yeah.
Right. It's already come out.
Wait, this came out last Wednesday?
Okay.
Oh, it's on sale now. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Chris. I would have got to the very end of this article and had to correct myself in real time, but luckily our audience corrects us for us.
Our fact-checking audiences.
Yeah. I do love that. I don't know. I guess I thought I had more to say about this, but not really. Like, I'll go read it now. Or actually, well, it's not true. I'll probably read it in 3 months when it comes out on Marvel Unlimited. To be fair.
Tropes gave it a review tonight. So
nice.
Tropes, thumbs
nice.
Up.
Well, see, I'll check out his review when I watch this episode.
Okay.
I have my stack. I haven't read it yet. No comment. I will say, Christopher Priest, I think, is a very interesting writer. I think he's got a very interesting history in comics, specifically with Marvel. There was the whole Ned Leeds thing with him, and he's just had such an interesting history. So,
I mean, yeah. What do writers have to do to get our interest nowadays too? Like, you got to shake things up, right? So people are like,
that maths ain't mathing, but okay. 2 thumbs up out of 3. All right.
something's up, huh?
Two thumbs and a big toe out of 4, maybe. I don't know. Corbin, let us know if you come back next week. Let us know what you thought.
Yeah, for sure.
If you read it. Well, I guess it's time to talk about our main topic. I thought I'd have more to say on that, but I don't really, and can tell you don't have a ton of stuff to say on it. So
I don't have a dog in the fight there.
I've always given 3 thumbs up as the best rating. That's true.
Chug.
That G0, not a sponsor. So
there you go. The Phantom. That's true.
The Phantom, true. Yeah, good point.
Very similar character.
Who I'd love to see make more of a comeback. Phantom, all those.
And
all
hello,
those
CJ, by the way.
Yeah. And by the way, we are live, just so you know. Before you get a chance to ask. So let's talk about what makes our ideal grading company. Did you have a chance to kind of think about this thought experiment here?
I have a list with let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things that I have.
I've got 6. What a coincidence that we would both come up with numbered lists.
Hey, Christina.
Ooh, Mad Cave's bringing Phantom back. That's cool.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, what's up, Christina?
Hey, by the way, I haven't had a chance to say to you, Christina, I'm sorry I didn't, but the package for Bronze and I did arrive.
Oh, good.
Keep forgetting to say something, so it is here.
You and I need to coordinate that offline then.
Yep.
Well, I've got less things than you, but there's probably gonna be some overlap, I imagine.
All right.
I could see this happening, or maybe you thought down a different path than I, but you have more things. So why don't you start us off?
Okay. Well, so these are things that I think make a great, or so I had questions. I mean, would make a great or currently make a great grading company?
I think it's the same. To me, it's the same thing.
Because, like, well,
we're talking about a fictional company or what a company could do to become the best, right?
Because, like, PSA is just coming into this fresh, right? So maybe they can strive for these things. But okay, so number 1 on my list is reputation and track record. So,
boom.
You know, where they say you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
You know, what are you gonna do? What have you done? What are the scandals that have happened to the companies that have had that we have currently? And we've seemed to have swept most of those under the rug or forgotten them, or we have a short memory because we don't have anywhere else to go, right? So yeah, reputation and track record is a big thing. What are they going to do with your books? What happens if they lose your books? You know, that kind of thing. So there's that. So that is number 1 on my list is reputation and track record.
And we could talk about this a little bit because that was the number 2 thing on my list. You know, and mine's not really in any order or anything like that. But I said integrity / reputation, and it's the same thought process. So I guess I'll peel back the beard here a little bit. Peel back the beard curtain. My thought process in coming up with this topic for us to talk about tonight was, with PSA coming into the space, and I've been thinking about PSA graded cards recently, as well as SGC and CGC cards and BGS and all that stuff. I've been thinking about that, and it's interesting because it's a very different landscape, and yet it's similar in some ways to the comic book grading landscape.
Right.
And when you talk about a player like PSA coming in, it's funny. PSA is, if you're not familiar on the sports card side, and if you are, I'm sorry if I butcher this example, but from my perspective, PSA is kind of like the CGC of sports grade. Because CGC has the big market share. their comic books tend to get the most money when they're graded. You know, like if you get a 9.8 Hulk 181 versus like a CBCS Hulk 181 9.8, the CGC one's probably going to return a greater value most times. That's not universally true. That's more of a rule of thumb. So there's comparisons there, right? A PSA 10 of whatever card you can think of is probably worth more in the market than like the Beckett card would be, for example, most of the time. And again, I'm probably getting some of those details.
That comes up in my things that make a company great later too, is resale value. But I digress.
Yeah. So I was just trying to think of them coming into the hobby, which they're supposed to launch by the end of this year. Last time I looked.
And Tropes is saying he's clueless on PSA, so we can give him a little rundown. I guess he kind of just did, but
yeah, a little bit. Just to roll it back a little bit further here. PSA is I can't wait for somebody in chat to tell me what this stands for. I actually don't. Premium something? I don't know.
Sports Authority and something from Premium Sports Authority.
But they've kind of been a big player in the sports card grading world for a long time. And they are entering the comic book grading space kind of with much fanfare. Again, it's like if and CGC did this a couple years ago. They entered the card grading space. And I think they wisely kind of tried to mostly focus on the non-sports trading cards to kind of get their in, but they focus on both. They do both. It's a 50-pound slab. Yeah, they're going to bring out a heavy slab apparently. But yeah, we're talking about grading companies essentially, and it's kind of irrelevant to the discussion of needing to know each particular grading company and all that different stuff. It's more about just setting us up for the discussion of, okay, well, they're coming in. What would they have to do, or what would another grading company that comes into the space have to do to be ideal, to be the best grading company?
Professional sports authenticator, by the way.
Oh, there we go. 1 second, folks. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, so I had reputation and track record. The next thing I had was grading standards and consistency. So like consistently being on the same track that, your 9.8 is always going to be a 9.8. Your 8.0 is always going to be an 8.0. Not having too much fluctuation. Well, we see that a lot now where you could crack a book and send it in and get a completely different grade.
Yeah. And to a certain extent, it makes sense. Two different graders might see two different things.
Right.
This is also on my list, so we're in parity so far. So I could sustain as well, and that's the same thing. It's needing to know that. So that's actually when I do speak about PSA, I'm not trying to bring up grading company examples too much because it's kind of specific. PSA is widely known for not being consistent in their grading with sports cards. And I think CGC is widely known for not being consistent, for example, with their comic books. The comic book could be sent in twice, and you could get an 8 one time, and you could get a 9 the other time. Same thing on the sports card side. And that's a problem, because if it's really being authenticated and certified, you could expect maybe like a 1 grade variation, right? Like an 8.5 to a 9 for in the comic book world, or a 9 to a 9.2, or a 1.5 to a 2, or whatever. I think that's reasonable, but should it really be that big of a variation? It seems like a pretty big deviation to me.
Yeah, I think the pendulum has swung back and forth in cards too. Like PSA was number 1 for a while, then BGS was a big deal for a while, and then it kind of went back to PSA. So I think BGS became a big deal because it had all the subgrades, the corner, center, surface edges, all that stuff for cards. And that was a big trade secrets thing that was possibly being brought over to that's a whole other kettle of fish, but because they were going to bring that over to comics for PSA. But
yeah, which is I mean, that's almost like a separate discussion, but I am it is a curious thing about whether or not subgrades should be in comics, in my opinion.
Right. And then like I almost think like to try to get like a, I'm sorry, did I
Good
interrupt
one,
you?
John. No, John's comment. He's
Oh,
talking
right.
about the bad idea thing.
The consistency thing. I think I've heard people say like, for cards, are we going to see them go to like an AI grading thing where it gets more to get more consistency, where it's checking the corners, surface, edges, and everything? It would be much more difficult for comics, but
Yeah.
you know, to get to that level of consistency, you might have to go that route. Not that anybody wants to see it go that route, but
Well, I've thought, I mean, like with companies like Beckett, and for those that don't know, Beckett now owns CBCS in the comic book grading space, and they also have their Beckett, it has a long established name in card grading. They've fallen out of favor big time. They're actually, like, when it comes to card grading, I was just watching a video from a channel I love about card stuff. They're actually like the fourth biggest.
it's so funny how that it just what's in vogue changes.
Well,
you know,
he did this pie chart, and he showed like the, you know, if you were to look at the biggest card grading companies, PSA was Pac-Man, right? Like, and there was just a sliver left of everybody else, and it was SGC, and it was CGC cards, and the tiniest sliver left on there was Beckett. And they've kind of you know, fallen out of favor, but they Beckett price guides for cards were a huge deal. They have an established, they're kind of like almost like Overstreet in some ways, sort of, not as long of a pedigree, but they're a little bit like in that space.
It's kind of funny that we're seeing these conglomerations of card and comic coming together, because we had JSA now with TGC,
yeah,
and they're very famous for their autograph authentication. So
well, that's what I was just going to say, is there was all these computer technologies for authenticating autographs, whether or not they worked very well, but I mean, you know, to some extent, those were, whether or not you call it AI, they were learning algorithms, they were comparing, you know, signature, ostensibly a lot of it was probably trade secret or whatever, but they're comparing autographs to see if they're have the same pressure and pen stroke and you know, markers, that whatever handwriting analysis uses, right? And I think there's some interesting applications for that, especially like you were saying, though, for cards, you're talking about like basically a two-dimensional object, and you could argue comic books are two-dimensional, but they're really not, because they have a lot of pages.
Every page, the page quality, you're looking for rips and tears on every interior page.
Well, and we all know, like, if you look at a corner straight on versus like at an angle, you might see differences there. It's a little bit more obvious with comics than it is with cards when you're looking at the item. But can a computer detect that? Maybe.
It depends on, like, I guess, whatever level of variance you allow the computer to have, but then you're getting into the area of a human, right? When you start giving it a little leeway, right? So
but the point being is, you know, we're talking about consistency, and I think you're right on. I agree with you. It's a huge factor. You want to see similar books get graded the same way. You don't want to be like scratching your head on why something came back, you know, like a 9.4 when it looked like a 9.8, or a 9.4 when it looked like a 7.0. Either way, and I'm actually going to jump in and throw out one of mine, because even though mine aren't in really any particular order, they're all kind of based on they're built on this pyramid of this first thing, which we're kind of dancing around, which is grading standards.
Right. Yeah. That's like grading standards and consistency. Yeah.
And so for me, that was a separate thing, because, like, for example, if you were to start a grading company and say our grading standards are the Overstreet grading standards, okay, so we're all on the same page. We know what that means. We know what it is. CGC, and I'm going to kind of call them out here. This isn't the point of the video. It's not, but they're really notorious for this. They actually don't have their standards out there as far as for what they're willing to grade. They have the
book.
They have the book, and there's thousands of examples of where they've gone off the book.
Right. Absolutely.
So it doesn't. So you can put your standards out there, but this is where the this is why grading standards and then consistency was under that for me, because you have to have your grading standards. It needs to be an open book. You need to say what those grading standards are, and you need to be consistent to those standards.
Right. And I've heard, like, it used to be a book is a book is a book. You got a golden age book, it's going to be graded at the same level of scrutiny that you would a modern book. But now they're saying golden age books are getting more leeway, which is like, I understand that it's much more rare, but that's the whole point of those books being so much more valuable if they're in higher grade, is because it's so hard to find them that way. So,
well, and you know what, if you're going to go out and say, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but if you're going to say we have a different set of standards and grading that we look at for golden age than we do modern, in theory that's fine, as long as you're upfront and transparent about that.
Set those standards from the beginning and keep them that way. Don't change them halfway down the river, where you're like, okay, so now people are thinking like, well, I should crack these books and send them back in, or the same thing where we're getting with the 9.9 and the 10.0s. Oh, we never really thought to look for those before, but now we're thinking we need to look. So now people are thinking, oh, do I need to go crack all my 9.8s and send them in to possibly get 9.9, 10.0?
And to a certain extent, like, I think things do, CGC has been around for a long time. I got to give them credit for that. Some things may evolve or change in the hobby where you might decide to change at a certain point, but you should minimize that as much as possible, right? Like, it should be a last resort. It's like, but hey, maybe there's some kind of technology that comes along. It's like, oh, now we can detect this, or now we can, be more consistent because of this. It's a terrible analogy, but something equivalent to like DNA. Like, you wouldn't tell the courts, well, you haven't used DNA evidence in the past. Now that DNA evidence exists, you shouldn't use it because you never did before. Well,
right. If new techniques evolve and come about to do a better job of grading, absolutely. But
a lot of it does. Then that's the point, Comic Tropes. A lot of it does come down to trust, which is why we both talked about integrity, reputation. We both talked about that.
Right.
That's based on that trust factor.
But also, further down the list, I have customer service too, which kind of rolls into that integrity, reputation too. It's like, how well are they going to respond to you calling them out on things or something, an issue you have? So because that's 100%. Important. A lot of times people are saying like they'll inquire and inquire and inquire, and they won't get any kind of follow up until they really, really, really try to escalate.
Yeah, and it's got to be like, for me. So I have a line item that I rolled customer service into. I probably should have separated it out. I like that you did that. Mine is, it's under quality control.
Okay.
And quality control to me is, like, for example, I think it's CGC's biggest downfall at the moment. I mean, you could argue it's the scandals they've had, but some of that comes with being the biggest player on the block. Like, I know PSA, for example, when it comes to cards, I've had plenty of scandals. They've had plenty of, all that kind of stuff going on.
Invariably, they deal with millions of submissions every year, right? Something's going to happen somewhere along the line.
Right. It's just a volume game at some point. But quality control to me is a huge one, because first of all, it to me, it kind of goes from A to Z. It's like, I know you're going to take good care of my comic. I know you're going to take good care of my prized collectible. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff that they get is just some brand new book right off the press. And it doesn't maybe matter as much to me as my prized comic books from when I was a kid, but it should be treated the same way. And it should, again, millions of pieces are going to go through, potentially millions of pieces are going to go through these hands. And so I expect, just as a percentage, there will be some damages. There will be things that happen. What do they do to make it right? That's one piece. The second piece is, how do I know that it's being encapsulated carefully? How do I know that your procedures are being followed as the way you say that they're supposed to be? For example, and I don't know if this has changed a little bit over the years, but CGC, it used to be that a grader would grade the book, and then a second grader would look at the book, and they could like say, hey, I see something that you didn't notice or whatever. Or no. Sorry. What it is a second grader would look at the book, and they would grade it blind to the first grader. And then a third grader would come along and look at it. I don't think that really happens. And that I don't
maybe
trust that
maybe you misunderstood. Maybe it was really a third grader was going to come on.
Well, yeah. Yeah. That would explain some of the damages. But you know, and I've heard like Matt Nelson, I've heard the people give like these interviews and they've like explained it. But then I've heard like a couple years later, I've heard like a different version of the same story and it doesn't match.
You,
and it's
you
like,
can't tell me like that. Yeah, the some of the stuff that I've seen happen, that 3 people looked at that book and then it happened that way. It just doesn't happen that way.
Well, and it seems like especially during the height of like the pandemic and the height of their crunch, it looked like one person was looking at this book for 5 seconds and then they handed it off to the encapsulation team, which, by the way, part of that quality control, if you trust somebody enough to be your grader and they handle the comic books, I think the first step of the encapsulation should be done by that person, like putting it in the inner well or whatever technology they're using. Most of them are using inner wells. I think that person should be the person putting it in there.
Yeah.
At least. I don't know. Maybe that's an unnecessary step, but
that's one of my steps here is encapsulation quality is another one. Yeah, because you want to have a good quality slab, which we've been seeing improvements, you know, in the welds and the quality of it, not seeing the what do they call them, the rings that they were getting on the
Newton rings.
Newton rings. So yeah, another thing that's important is the quality of the encapsulation that you're getting.
Yeah, and then a lot of people are putting, I think to kind of go along with that, a lot of people are putting their bottles on the floor. A lot of people are putting a lot of emphasis on like the label and the look of the slab, the feel of the slab. I don't know. To me, that doesn't matter as much, to be frank. But it clearly matters to most of the comic book collectors out there. I don't particularly think the CGC label is attractive, but I also do not think this new, especially the new CBCS label, is attractive. In fact, it's quite ugly.
Well, PSA was going to go with the red from their cards, and that looks pretty god awful. So I don't know.
but that's the thing. So there's a double-edged sword there. Don't want to get too far down this tangent, but if you're trying to sell your grading service, which you're far and away number one in card grading, if you're trying to sell it to card graders and try to get them as your market share, doesn't it make sense to keep the same label? And I think that's what they were thinking.
Right. It's marketing. They want to go with the same look to make it visually recognizable right off the bat.
But gosh, excuse me, the yawns are starting. So here's a question for you. How much do you care about the label?
Curb appeal is a lot to me. I would say, like, I think that some of those ones where they do with the specialized ones with the character up in the corner or whatever, some of those are pretty sexy, you know. So I mean, curb appeal,
a lot of people hate those.
A lot of people do. So like, it depends on who your buyer is, or is it going in your personal collection and you like it, or is it something you're encapsulating and hoping to move down the line? If you're hoping to move it down the line, it might be better just to go with the basic generic label, because more people are going to be accepting of that. I don't know, but
okay. So, but let's say you are BMC grading company. Big Me McFly Comics is coming in. You're going to be the new grading company. You've got lots of backing. You've got silent investors, angel investors. You've got tons of money. You're going to become at least the number 3 or 4 grading company in comic books the day you open, because you've got that much backing behind you. You're starting this mythical company. Okay. You're the one at the head. You get to decide everything. You're designing the labels. You're approving the slab designs, all that stuff. What color is your universal or basic label?
I think it's going to come down to, for me, it's going to come down to a design with a logo that is recognizable. And I'm going to go with a customizable color. I'm going to come up with something that's a very bold logo, maybe white in the corner that's got my logo. And then you're going to have a customizable color. If you want blue, if you want red, you want purple. But you're going to be able to recognize that logo up in the corner. And the rest of it can be up to the customer. I think that's probably going to be, just come up with something that's very bold and recognizable. right off the bat.
Okay. Do you have your grade in a white circle box or something like that on its own, or not?
Yeah, because everybody's kind of become used to that, so I'm going to go with that kind of same kind of thing. So one corner is going to have my big logo, the other corner is going to have my grade.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have the details in the middle, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm not a graphic designer. So I could spend a lot of time trying to figure out, what I think is the best design, what I think is the best label. I'm of two minds on it, because I come in and I'm like, okay, would I do it with a blue label? Because that's, even with CGC, even with CBCS, blue label is the kind of now the universal label. Different shades of blue, but hey. Do I do that, or do I go my own way? I kind of like that you're coming in with the pick whatever color, but then do you have like different types of, like CGC will do like restored, they'll do authenticated for signatures. Do you have?
Maybe we do something different in the area where it has the details in the middle. Maybe you do something different in that area that delineates that this is a restored book, or this is an autographed book, or something like that, where you have maybe just a different shape around that center area or something like that, just to kind of delineate that so people can see. Or maybe even the shape of the area where the number grade is. Maybe it's a diamond instead. If it's something, if it's restored, it's a diamond. If another, it's a circle. If it's another, it's got the rounded edge square, so you have different corner symbols to delineate whether it's restored, autographed, or just a standard graded book. So I don't know,
and to me that's like the weird thing. I don't know why I don't know why they have to have a different color label for different things.
Right.
Like
I've seen some companies come at it with the different color where you can customize, and they look beautiful. Going to customize to the cover of the book to where it kind of matches the color.
Interesting.
There you go. I like that.
Interesting. Different shades of various colors. Okay. Excuse me again. Been a long week for me. I never really said part of the reason I wasn't here is because I've been sick the last week.
You've had things going on. You've been sick. You've had everything thrown at you, and thank you for being here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to be here with everybody, including you.
So one of my other things is turnaround time and pricing. So how quickly, if it's my company, I'm going to make sure that the books are getting back to people as quickly as possible. But again, with that same level of consistency and quality, and then the pricing has to be right.
So my thing with that, just to kind of, it's neck and neck. Mine was value.
Okay.
Now turnaround time, I actually intentionally left off, because while there's ridiculous turnaround time, I think turnaround time is going to fluctuate, and I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like it takes as long as it takes, and I don't want a company to artificially speed up because it's taking too long and risk any of those other things like quality.
But let's say it's the band grading company, right?
Have a good night, John.
Yeah, bye, John. Thanks for being here. But let's say it's the band company, right? Do you have different turnaround times for different price levels? Do you have like the expedited, expedited level, or do you have the standard, or do you?
I say part of me wants to say F it as far as when it comes to like pay to play and people that do it. But I do think that if you have an estimated value on your book that is above a certain level, I think that there's an expectation that it should be looked at quicker. That I understand. But I think that, like, I want to pay to have my stuff go cut in line. No, too bad.
So let's say though, also, so along with pricing, does your pricing matter? Does it change on the value of the book?
So yes, but both ways. Because right now, green companies that do that, as far as I'm aware, they only do it one way, which is if your book is worth more, they charge you more.
Right.
If your book ends up being worth less, I think you should get your money, the total lowered that you owe. And I think that's how it should work. It should work in your favor as well.
I can see that.
And that's kind of, that's a big one to me is the predatory practices. I think, they're shooting themselves in the foot to spite the face kind of thing.
Right. Because it almost to me seems like when you have to pay more for a higher graded book, that almost is a conflict of interest because it's in their best interest to grade that book higher, right?
True. Yeah, you can make that argument. I don't know if it's a weird one as far as it shouldn't be insane, right? Now, if you're a comic book grading company, I feel like you have to expect there's just as much possibility that one day you're going to be handling an Action Comics 1 as there is that you would be handling an Action Comics 1087.
Right.
I hope that's not a key. I don't think it is. It's certainly not an Action Comics 1.
Right. You're going to have different graders that have different areas of expertise.
True. Although I think ideally they should all be cross-training each other.
Right. Which could be part of that, having 3 people look at the book, right?
Yeah. Okay. We never really decided that in this perfect grading company that we're envisioning. One grader or multiple graders or a panel of graders or whatever.
I think multiple graders is going to give you the best grade because it's going to be one person could be like, I think you're completely off on this. You missed this, or we're all human, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you get a book back, it's like, oh, that guy had a bad night. He broke up with his girlfriend or whatever, and he just trashed my grade.
Or he got woken up with a special surprise by his girlfriend, or
and you got all 9 8s, right?
Yeah. Do fast track, vintage, modern, etc. have their own groups of graders? Or is it free for all? Okay, gosh, I'm so sorry. We're kind of talking about
theoretical company. That's what I think in our theoretical company he's asking.
Yeah, and for me, it's I think it would be hard not to start that way because you're going to have people who are more experienced with certain books. But I think ideally you have them all cross and having the panel of graders idea, which I am in favor of,
right,
is a way to do that because you then they're all seeing all the books and I think the way that should be a scientific process in terms of, let's say you have 3 graders. I don't know, it might be more than that. It might be less. Should be an odd number though. They each grade the book separately, and then blind ballot kind of system. And then they each look at the grades like, okay, well, 2 people gave it a 9.8, 1 person gave it a 9.6. It should be a 9.8.
Right.
But then they should, I think, randomly or when there's a big enough difference, there should be a review of that process of like, okay, well, what did you see that we didn't?
Right.
And I think that, maybe there should be that should be part of the quality control. Is there should be head graders, and their job should be to go and look at that. Okay, 2 of you graded this an 8.5, 1 of you graded it a 6.0. What did the 8.5 people see? What did the 6.0 people see? What do I see when I look at it as a impartial person coming in? And why did we have such different results? And you might learn. They noticed that there's this tear that the other 2 people didn't notice.
Right.
Interesting. Why didn't they notice that? It's kind of like when the FAA reviews a crash. Federal Aviation, when they review a crash from a plane, they try to do whatever they can to make sure that same mistake can't happen again. And they try to figure out why it happened so that they can prevent that gap in the safety net of that happening. And I think that's the way a grading company should operate too. Hey, what is up, Wonkington One? Welcome to the show. Thing is, do the standards for grading the different tiers stay the same? Is a grader supposed to look at a modern book the same way he looks at a vintage book? And we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Yeah. Which I never officially said hello to you, but hello to you, Ben Doogie Mance. I think I got that right. Yeah, I personally, I think that a vintage book shouldn't have a different standard than a modern book. Personally, that's just my opinion. Again, if there was going to be some kind of difference there, it should be advertised
Stated up
ahead of
front,
time.
right? Yeah, stated up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you get all those levels of quality control for $75? Well, $75 is we haven't thrown that number out there yet. But honestly, because I mean the average book at CGC is like what, $25 right now, probably. I don't know.
I don't know. You throw in all the. I mean, are you talking just about for the service, or I mean, you
Well,
got all the
I'm just thinking
stuff
like
going in?
probably like on average, what does the average book come out to? You know, with taking into account that they do expensive books, taking into account that they do their, you know, the they don't call it a bundle, but whatever they call it,
the pre-screen
batch. Yeah, pre-screen. There we go. Well, but pre-screen, you can do any number of pre-screens now, can't you?
Right.
But I think they do a break at it. Is it $50? Jesus, is that right?
Yeah, very well could be. I haven't graded a book in a while, so
Wonka says the turnaround would be so long, but think about it. What we're just talking about is what CGC said they were doing from the beginning. Is they're having independent graders grade it, and then when you're talking about the review process, I'm not saying the review process is for every book. I'm saying that when there's a big enough
disparity,
yeah. And also just like a spot check, right? Like you just randomly have somebody go in, and this happens in all kinds of businesses. You know, you take a batch of potatoes and you grab one bag off the belt and you kind of look at it and go, oh yeah, you know what, this actually looks pretty gross and we shouldn't be shipping it out. Now let's go check out some of the bags around that and see if they all were the same, or was it just that one bag? It's the same thing, you know, for any type of service.
Right.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
No, we appreciate you chiming in for sure.
Oh, Canadian money, okay, and including shipping. See, last time I looked at like modern grading, I want to say it was like, I want to say with shipping and everything, I want to say it came out to like $27 for a modern book. But of course, not everything in modern.
Some increases over the last year.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's more expensive, but even for that price, you have to imagine that a brand new grading company is probably not going to be doing massive volume day one. Like even PSA, like they're probably going to do some kind of. I imagine they're going to do some kind of special.
Right.
Introductory pricing.
$27 now for modern. Okay.
So yeah, pretty close. All right.
Okay.
Thank you for that, by the way. It's been a year since I've done a submission, I think.
Forgive me, Father. It's been a year.
Forgive me, Matt Nelson.
So my company then also, to do the best I can, I'm going to be offering additional services. Cleaning and pressing, pre-screen, autograph authentication. So those we're talking about, like what makes a great company.
Yeah.
Additional services is important.
How much to have Sydney Sweeney take a bath with it?
Right. But I mean, like a lot of people, and also like show your work. Like a lot of people say they send stuff in for cleaning the press and they don't feel like it actually gets done. It just gets, yep, we did it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it should look like you did the job.
100%.
So
well, and that ties in with my thing actually, which I don't think I got a chance to mention this. One of mine is transparency.
Right.
And that's in open book grading. Like we'll tell you exactly how we grade our books and what the point dinging is for each defect, and that those things can be cumulative. You know, they do add up and create a different grade. But also, I think that there should be photos taken along the way of your comic being graded.
Right.
Because we've had so many things where it's like collectors have gotten back books, and you're like, this isn't even my book. This isn't even the book I sent in.
That happened to Mint Hunter Comics with his first Deathstroke. He got back somebody else's completely different copy. He sent in like a newsstand, and he got back a newsstand and sent in a direct.
Gosh, I kind of remember that. Didn't he wasn't he able to like find the collector or something like that and switch it? Or
they were able to figure it out and get it switched back to who it was supposed to go to. I think he ended up getting both copies at some point. So but yeah, so yeah, transparency. Also, like, do what you say you're gonna do. How many times have you gotten a book back? I haven't graded that many books, but no graders notes. It's just like, okay, here's your book. It's got a 8.5. We're not going to tell you why. There's nothing in the notes.
Yeah. That's a big part of the transparency to me is every book, whether it should be, I don't know if it should be a QR code or a barcode or something like that. Every book should have their grader notes available at no cost because, and I think this is the way across the board now. CGC, I think they finally changed. I think as long as you have an account, you can look up grader notes a certain number a day or whatever. It should be unlimited because if I'm at a
now,
convention,
I think they actually do have the QR code, but a lot of times it's blank.
Yeah, well, right, but that's what I'm saying is if I'm at a convention, I should be able to scan your code or type in your number, whatever it is, as long as it's decently easy enough, and go and see your notes on that book, so I can authenticate that hey, somebody hasn't somehow switched this thing out of this case, and this is the right book, and also what are the notes on it, and if your grading scale goes up to 10, a 9.9 should have notes for why it's not a 10.
Why didn't it get a 10? Oh, there was a slight white speck in one of the corners, or whatever. Yeah.
I thought about that, and I'm actually Wonkington. I'm kind of almost curious. I'm like, is there something I'm not? Is there a potential for manipulation of that system somehow? If it was on a delay, I don't think there would be. I was trying to think of like if somebody could like collude with somebody who's on the grading line that way. But if it was on a delay, I don't think that would happen. But yeah, you like if your system, this would be some technology, it would cost some money. But like maybe you could have a timestamp of like, okay, well, my book got scanned. Here's a picture of the grader in the grading room looking at it from an overhead cam or whatever. Maybe not video, but like a couple photos or something. That'd be nice, right? To know that they actually were looking at the book and that kind of thing. Some of it's pie in the sky.
Even with like okay, I'm gonna do callback to being sure we talked about Whatnot. Whatnot has a video receipt when you buy a book.
Yeah,
they have a little clip. Why can't they do that at CGC? Have a little clip.
Yeah. You know? Well, and like they scan books, but then you have to pay for the scans. And I mean, I guess maybe that's fine or whatever. But it just seems like, well, you're doing it anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they've changed a bunch of stuff to being free now. I don't know if it's all that is free lookup where you can look up the photos and everything now, but I know they've changed a bunch of stuff where they used to charge for. So, but yeah,
I think it helps.
Transparency is really important, though. I agree.
And you know, a lot of my philosophy here is you build the best possible grading company because of what it's going to get you in the long run, not because of the short-term return. It isn't about instantly trying to turn a profit, although that's how businesses work. I get it.
Right.
But if you do the right thing and you create the best possible business, guess what? You are going to have all the market share, all the demand. People are going to value your books more. You're going to be able to get the Todd McFarlane in for the in-house signing, to get your customers all excited for that, to be able to do the live stream where you hype it up, all that kind of stuff that kind of gets eyeballs on your service, because they're going to want to go there because they know that's where the demand is. Right. You think that's easier for CGC than CBCS right now? Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And it's because they're the big kid on the block. And if you want to become the big kid on the block, you have to have a differentiator. You can't be doing, even if you did exactly what CGC did, you're not going to become better than CGC unless you change something.
Well, and then we've seen like I mean, we didn't really want to go into talking about specific companies, but like CGC was bought by, was it Blackstone, which is a big investment company now. So it's like a lot of people are worried about the focus being like about profits and not being about quality of product.
And I would say those are founded concerns, well-founded concerns,
right?
Based on what we've seen so far.
So I have a couple other things. Like one of them is resale value of the book. So right now you're going to see everybody's, that goes to CGC right now, because that's just kind of become the de facto one that everybody, when you go to sell your book, you're going to get it tried and true. It shows you're going to get a higher return on the book having it graded by CGC than you would having it graded by another company. So
how do you control that though? As a
no, I'm just saying as a company, or that's something you want to strive for, you know. And you've got to change though. You've got to change opinion of people and get people to change their voting with their wallet, and that's hard because CGC has planted their flag there right now, and so it's an uphill battle. I mean, but not to say there hasn't been many chances with all the scandals and stuff that have happened, and people have dropped the ball so many times. And then my last thing is, like, you kind of alluded to it, but like being at show appearances, having your staff there to accept books and that kind of thing, and also doing signings, the in-house signings and that kind of thing. So having those kind of events and that kind of stuff, and none of this stuff is cheap or easy to do. We're not by any means saying that that's oh, why don't they do this? It'd be easy. No, it's hard to coordinate, you know. So
yeah, it is. I mean, and the truth of the matter is, it's really hard for a small startup to get into this space and do well. It's why PSA is one of the few companies, I think, that are positioned where they're at right now that could enter this space and really change things up. It's why I wanted to talk about this, because I hope PSA comes in and does some of these things. I am being realistic when I tell myself that they're probably not going to knock it out of the park in all ways.
There's going to be
probably not going to happen,
stumbling along the way, and hopefully they can learn from the people who come before them.
Yeah. And I have a sense, and I hope I'm right, that there's been almost some radio silence from PSA, because I feel like they did go to conventions and they were pulling aside dealers and collectors and higher profile people, and I feel like they were getting feedback, and I hopefully that means they're listening.
Right.
It's not all about PSA. I'm not saying that, but I do hope that PSA can shift the paradigm of the current grading space in comic books for the better. And I really hope that's true, because CGC right now, they don't have to pay attention at all to CBCS, and they're doing fine.
Right.
And it's not CBCS is not taking a bite out of CGC anytime soon, any more than they already have. They have their diehard fans. They have people that are going to go over to CBCS because, CGC had this large scandal, and I totally understand that. I do, but it's not making a real dent in the market, and so CGC won't change until somebody comes along and can punch CGC in the nose, and I mean that metaphorically, of course. Punch them in the nose and get them to pay attention. We're not going to see a change in grading in comic books.
Right. Why would they?
Yeah.
Right.
They have no incentive to, literally, and they are owned by one of the giantest corporations, giantest money hoarding firms in the world. So
they are backed well.
Yeah. Shigeyuki asked a really interesting question here. Do real collectors sell their books?
That'd be a good topic for a show.
I was just going to say that. To me, that's it's a great prompt, is what I'll say. Who knows? You might see us talk about that next week.
That sounds like a good topic.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
And to just touch on it, I would say that I try to use the method of using the hobby to fund itself. And I know a lot of people that I hang out with do as well. But there are other people out there who just buy books to buy books for their collection, and they don't want to deal with that. So
yeah, I think
that would be a great topic to talk about.
I'll give you my spoiler answer there for that topic. Is I think it depends, but and I think it's one of those things that can be true, and it can also be not true. Depends on the collector. I don't think it matters to whether or not you're a real collector just because you sold some comic books that you owned at one point.
Right. That's true. That's true.
I think we should dive into that. I really like that.
Yeah, that's a good topic.
Yeah. And I sell comic books way less than I should, but because I want to buy other comic books. I've read them, or I've owned them long enough, or it's not what I'm interested in anymore, and I want to collect other things.
I've seen that topic titled in different things, like, "Are you a dirty comic flipper?"
Yeah. Yeah. It has this negative connotation, right?
Right.
So as we near the end of the show here, there's one other segment we have to get to. It's very important.
Right.
And before we get to that segment, I gotta show one little thing real fast. That's right. We do community art here on Best Coast Comics, and we show off your art that you send in to us. So if you want us to show off your art, you send it in to us. Really? I just explained that. You should be able to just send it in to us. Give us your artwork, and we'll show it. Just like we were talking to Roscoe earlier, and here's some artwork from Roscoe. And Roscoe's an awesome artist. Obviously, you don't have to be as good as Roscoe. You could be drawing stick figures, and I want to see your artwork. Send it in here.
This was done for John's Comics with Kids. His show with No Good Comics, where they're doing the X-Men read through. They're reading all X-Men and New Mutants and everything, and they did a giveaway. And Roscoe was nice enough to do a art cover for them for a giveaway.
That's dope.
It's a demon bear. That's so cool. Very much different than his usual style.
Yeah, it is. He usually does more like a cartoon-ish style.
Yeah, he's trying to kind of ape that Sienkiewicz look there, and yeah, it's so cool.
That's really awesome.
Cool.
Good job, Roscoe. If you're watching the rewind, or if you somehow stuck around and you're watching the background, love it, dude.
Very, very cool.
Next up, we got Steve Driscoll. Now, am I misremembering? Did Steve, was he part of one of our claim sales?
Yeah, Steve? He's been in our claim sales. Steve has his own channel, Comics with Stevie D. But he is a gentleman. He's in his 60s, and he's just started drawing. And
awesome.
So just been able to see, inspired by our show, and then as well as Nate from Hall. Yeah, they've been doing an art thing where they do some drawing live on their streams and stuff, and they're all trying to kind of progress as beginning artists. So I've been able, he sends me drawings, like 3 and 4 drawings every day that he's been doing in his sketchbook, and it's really
nice, dude,
to see the progression of stuff that he's been doing.
Steve, keep it up. I did see your art from last week. It looked pretty bomb. This is looking bomb. Keep it up, Steve. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Why
am I not your arrow, your slideshow?
Am I not able to scroll here? What's going on? There we go.
There we go.
I went the wrong way. This is from Elliot Wright. Very timely.
Right.
Working on a battle beast here. That must be that came out of one of the packs, right?
Yeah, that's one of the sketch covers that you can get out of the packs that you can do the sketching on, the blanks.
That's dope.
So I know Jay likes that, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love Battle Beast.
Jay had Battle Beast in his list of characters that were OP.
He's a bad, he's a BAP for sure.
Bad man.
Yeah. Beast.
Yeah, it's a great cover.
Good job, Elliot. I got Eddie Rodriguez coming in with a Lady Deadpool.
This is a card. So
yeah, sketch card. Really awesome.
If you guys don't follow Eddie Rodriguez on Instagram, he does all those kinds of I know the cards are for sale, so hit him up. But he does really good job. Beautiful artwork.
I love how he was able to get the bosom fabric stretch in there just barely. I love it.
Yeah. He does very, very cool cartoony style. Love his animated style. That's really cool. He did some great donations for Heroes for Heroes last year.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we got one more to show off this week. This is from Comics Limited.
This was done for his daughter's graduation.
That's cool.
This is him and her playing when she was a little girl. He actually was playing, and he did almost the Four Bushman, took a bucket and cut eye holes and mouth hole in it when they were playing in the backyard. And so I know that tree in Travis's backyard.
That's so cool. I love seeing this. It threw me for a loop because it was like, and I knew his daughter's name, so like I just was like, oh, this is personal. Okay, and like I looked at it, I was like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, so it's just really cool. She just graduated, so congratulations, Ruby. So
yeah, congrats.
Yeah. So
and congrats as somebody whose daughter's about ready to graduate kindergarten. I can only imagine.
Yeah, beautiful piece of artwork there, though. Good job, Trav.
That's amazing. Well done, folks. If you want to have your artwork featured on the program, all you have to do is, I went over this. All you got to do is send us your artwork.
And when you do, please say, feel free to show this, because a lot of times people send me artwork and I'm not sure if they want it shown. So
I'm gonna, if you send me your art, I'm gonna assume I'm gonna show it off on the show. We'd love to hear any of your comments. If you're watching on the rewind, let us know what you thought. If you've been sticking around in the live chat and you've been watching the whole show with us and you want to leave a comment after the video, we'd appreciate that as well. I did mention at the beginning of the show that we are streaming on a couple different networks. Not only my channel, I'm Bronze Age Nerd, not only Bigby McFly's channel over there at Bigby McFly Land, but also over on the EXP, which is a comic book streaming network. So we're streaming to all 3 channels right now. Links for those channels can be found in the description. I highly recommend going and subbing up to all those channels because they offer great content that I think you're going to like. Especially if you're here watching me say these words right now, you should go do that. We'd love to see you in next week's episode, where we might be talking about real collectors selling their books or not. I'm leaning towards that right now.
I like that topic. That's a good topic.
100%. Or maybe if something else comes up this topic, we might push that one a little bit further down the road.
And then we're due for an artist spotlight pretty soon.
An artist spotlight. We also need to talk about conventions. Convention season for us approaching probably.
And
we get asked about that a lot.
Heroes for Heroes coming up too. So
so many great things here. Luckily, never a shortage of things for us to yak about on YouTube. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. We're gonna take off for now, but we will be back. Same Best Coast time, same Best Coast channel, wherever you're watching. Although you can spread the love and watch all the different channels. Next Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific. We'd love to see you. Thanks so much, everybody, for being a part of this show. Again, let us know what you thought in the comments about your ideal grading company and what that's going to look like for you. We'd love to hear about that. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.